If there was one skill that I mastered working in the healthcare industry, is the ability to stay calm in any situation.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone?
This has helped me overcome countless challenges in both my career as well as everyday life. While many people think that the ability to stay calm is more of a personality trait, I believe staying calm is actually a skill that can be developed using the right strategies and mindset. In today's video, we'll be going over why staying calm is such an important skill to have, as well as the 5 strategies that I personally use to stay calm in every situation. Hey nerds, if you're new to the channel, my name is Christian. I'm an occupational therapist and a nerd who has a huge passion for video games. On this channel, we discuss real-life lessons that can help you level up in the game of life. Let me tell you a story. When I first started out working as an occupational therapist, let me tell you, it was an extremely stressful time. After all, I work in a pretty high-stakes environment where I had to keep my patients safe, I had to motivate them to work with me, and often a lot of my patients are very physically impaired or maybe even cognitively impaired. And because of all these variables, things often go wrong all the time, let me tell you. It does not matter how much I plan, it does not matter how much I know, that if things can go wrong, they will go wrong. And not only does this make this very frustrating for me, but often when the situation doesn't go as I planned, I get a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, and this really impacts how I'm able to work in my current job. So really fast forward 5 years later, I'm now a much more experienced therapist, and let me tell you, the main thing that I learned is how I manage my emotions, how I stay calm in every single situation, and it has helped me tremendously. And my big realization is this, is that while I cannot control, what has happened or will happen, the thing that I can control, however, is how I react to every single situation when it does actually happen. You see, staying calm is not just a nice to have skill, it is a must-have skill because it greatly influences how we do in many different areas of our lives, from our careers to our relationship to our own physical and mental well-being. Staying calm in a situation will help you make better decisions, it will help you problem solve better, and in fact, it'll make you just simply feel a lot happier in your day-to-day life. And let me tell you that this skill has been an absolute godsend to me. And in fact, it's probably the skill that has helped me really thrive as a therapist, to allow me to really connect with patients, to motivate them, to help me give the best care that I can to them. So all I can say is this is an extremely important and powerful skill to learn, and I want to give you 5 strategies that I have used personally as an occupational therapist to develop the ability to stay calm in every single situation. The first strategy is to focus more on the present. Now, this strategy was greatly inspired by the book The Power of Now, written by Eckhart Tolle, and essentially what the book mentions is that a lot of our stress and anxiety in life comes from us focusing too much on either the past or the future and not enough presence. In other words, a lot of our stress comes from regret of past events or anticipation of the difficulty of a future event. Now, just to kind of give you a real life example, when I was first starting off working in the medical field as an occupational therapist, I had so much anxiety, so much stress, because I would work with a patient and often, things would go wrong. I didn't really perform my best, I would say, and I would regret it so much, right? And it would just hang on my head all the time. And what would happen then is that I would focus a lot in the future. It's like, oh my goodness, next time I have to make sure I get this right. I can't get this wrong. I have to focus. And this kept me in a constant loop of stress, constantly feeling like I can't be calm, I'm anxious, I'm not doing my best work. And what I realized was that because I was focused so much on the past and planning for future events, that at the present moment, I wasn't my best self. I wasn't putting in my best foot forward, wasn't putting in my best work because my mind was just in disarray. And what I started to realize is this, is that events that happen in the past and events that will happen in the future are in fact not real. The only real moment that we have is the present moment, and that's the only thing that we can actually influence. So the power of now really emphasizes in us accepting the situation they're in, accepting that at the present moment, this is all we have control over, and to let go of everything else. This is a very freeing thought to actually practice, and why it's so difficult, however, is because our brains are programmed to constantly regret on things that have already happened and to constantly plan for what's going to happen in the future. However, when we do this in excess, without controlling ourselves, anxiety starts to set in, stress happens, and this is what causes to not stay calm in every single situation because we're not presently there. And what started to happen when I started to implement this mindset a little bit better is I became a lot more flexible, a lot more adaptable to my environment. Like right now, whenever things go wrong with my patients, I'm like, oh well, we'll figure it out together, no use worrying about it. Or maybe I had a bad interaction with a patient, and the next day I'll completely forget that past interaction and I'll start all anew again. I'm not holding any grudges, I'm not worried about how they'll think about me, because at the present moment, all I can do is be my best self and to give the best patient care that I can. So I applied this to many different areas in my life, and let me tell you, it is an absolute game changer in making sure I stay calm no matter what happens in the actual situation. Strategy number 2, manage your expectations. expectations. Now, this is a big one because all of us have some sort of expectations in life. But as we all know, life often doesn't really work the way we want it to work. So all we're doing when we set really high expectations for things is we're setting ourselves up to be frustrated, to be disappointed, and essentially add more stress to our lives. So I know this kind of sounds strange, but I go about life without any expectations. I don't expect anything from people. It's a big bonus if something goes my way, but it's never really the baseline or the standard that I'm expecting. And let me kind of explain this to you through my personal experience. Now, of course, I work in the healthcare industry, and there's some sort of expectation that I'm helping you, so often the patients, whoever I'm helping, should be nice to me, should be acceptable, should be motivated to go through the therapy, right? But no, that's not the case. You see, there are a lot of different variables, whether it may be physical, cognitive, emotional, that isn't really the fact. That patients are often frustrated, they're angry, they don't really want to work with you all the time, and things don't go according to plan. So when I first started off, whenever I tried to do something, I'm expecting the patient to respond positively, and they don't, I would get frustrated, I would get angry, and I won't really be calm in the situation because like, hey, I'm just trying to help you, why are you so angry at me? Or hey, I'm just trying to help you, can you just be nicer to me? But that's not how things work, however, because I set the expectation that this is what is supposed to happen, when in fact, there was not any expectation. They weren't supposed to be anything. All I'm doing is I'm setting this bar that may or may not be reached. So the real trick is to actually set expectations where you can control the variables. Like for example, if I'm going to see this patient, my expectation is that I'm going to be as nice as possible and give the best patient care. I'm not expecting anything from them. I'm expecting myself to do the best that I can. Now that is a realistic expectation that you can then meet, and hence you wouldn't be overwhelmed and not be calm when things don't go your way, because now your expectation is something that you can actually meet. So what you can start doing is you can be more mindful of what your expectations are for the various different areas in your life. Are you expecting something a little too high? Are you finding it you're getting frustrated in a certain thing when it's really out of your control? And ask all these questions to you, because expectations, in my opinion, is something that really restricts a lot of happiness. It restricts how someone is able to stay calm in a situation because they have primed their mind to be frustrated when something doesn't go their way. However, if you manage your expectations properly, then you are in control of how you react to a certain situation. Now, if you're enjoying the content up to this point, make sure you smash that like button and go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of little life lessons. After all, I'm just a nerd living life one lesson at a time, and hopefully these lessons are helping you level up in the game of life. Strategy number 3 is being comfortable with failure. Now, this is a big one because many people feel that failure kind of represents how well they're doing in life. For some reason, people feel like, whenever they fail to do something or something goes wrong, that, the world isn't right, they're really stressed and anxious. But we need to flip the script. We need to think about failure as opportunities to grow, opportunities to be better in the future. And this has greatly impacted how calm I can stay in every single situation. Because let's face it, right? There's a lot of variables in life and things can go wrong all the time. It's completely out of your control. So you need to understand that when mistakes happen, it's not because of you. Mistakes happen because they are meant to happen. So you want to take these mistakes as opportunities to be better. So something that I do personally is called prospective hindsight. This is where you anticipate challenges in the future and you actually plan for them. This is a little different than just simply thinking about a future event and stressing over it. But you want to take past mistakes, anticipate what's going to happen in the future. This requires a little critical thinking, and then plan ahead, because then what this really adds, it adds a lot more control into your life, because there's so many things you can't control already. But adding this bag of tricks to yourself, adding things that you have seen happen, things that can go happen, but you plan around them, you essentially make a fail-safe, right? It gives you so much more control that when the situation actually does go wrong again, when the same thing happens again, then you're a lot more prepared, right? That way you can stay calm. And I've done this so much, over my half a decade experience in the healthcare industry. I've seen so many scenarios that it's almost like I can anticipate things before it even happens. I can start anticipating when a patient is getting frustrated. I can anticipate when a patient might faint. I can anticipate if the patient is in pain without them having to say anything. And I already plan things ahead, right? I know the steps I need to take. I know how to set up my environment. I know what to say to the patient. And this really helps me have more control to really stay calm even when things are going wrong. And that's because I've accepted the mistakes I did in the past and I've planned for them in the future. So this is an extremely powerful strategy, not an easy one, mind you, because we all have egos. We all want to be right. We want things to always go our way. But the trick is to be more comfortable with failure and making mistakes. Strategy number 4 is be aware of your internal monologue. Now, all of us has that little voice in our head that is kind of arguing with us, telling us what to do, critiquing us. We think it's out of our control, but in fact, it's very much in our control. What we say it to ourselves, what we tell ourselves, it's something that we need to practice. Because often, when people aren't calm in a situation where they get angry, when they get stressed, it's because that little voice in their head is a little too powerful. They're overtaking what we're able to think. For example, when I first started in the medical field, I would probably mess up working with a patient and I would walk out of the room and that little voice in my head would be like, oh my god, you suck so much, how can you do that? That's so silly, you should have known this, don't mess up again. All this kind of talk just adds to the anxiety, adds to the stress. And if you're not able to control that little voice in your head, then constantly you're going to be in a state of stress, in a state of, just anxiety. So definitely be wary of what your internal monologue is. Is it really negative self-talk? Are you constantly beating yourself up? Or is it more in a motivating sense? Because what you want to do instead is you want that little voice and you to work together. You guys shouldn't be opposing each other, right? You shouldn't be beating each other down. That little voice instead should be constantly motivating you. If something goes wrong, you're like, hey, that kind of sucked, but guess what? We're gonna get better. We're gonna figure things out. It wasn't that bad. And the reason this is so powerful is because in any event or any situation that actually goes wrong, that is the reality of things. But what we tell to ourselves is going to change our entire perspective on the situation. If you're someone that can be a little more optimistic, a little more motivating, then your perspective will completely change, right? You approach the situation a lot more optimistically. You'll be a lot more motivating. You won't succumb to stress. You won't succumb to anxiety. Versus if you're constantly beating yourself up, you're just gonna make things a lot worse than it actually is already. And a powerful exercise that I personally do is journaling is so powerful when it comes to your internal monologue, because a lot of us actually allow our little voice in our head to go on autopilot. But when we actually journal, we're putting down these thoughts onto paper or onto the computer screen. You can actually see how you're talking to yourself. And then if you start to notice like, hey, this is a lot of negative self-talk, how can you start to change it? Then you can start to see, what little changes need to be made. Are you constantly beating yourself down? Do you need to work on certain things so you're a little more positive when it comes to the day-to-day scenario? Essentially, it's a battle between you and you. If you're able to go about your day with a strong right-hand man, which is that internal monologue that you're having with little you, then everything else is going to be a lot better. And this has been so powerful for me because I face a lot of stressful situations when I work in the healthcare industry, and often I find myself in extremely stressful and challenging situations, but the internal monologue is just like, hey, we're gonna get by this, it's okay, we'll get this, we'll do it well. And this has been a very powerful tool for me to be the best person that I can in every single situation. Now, for the 5th and last strategy is to have more gratitude. Now, this is something I feel very strongly for because I work in the healthcare industry, often with patients who are, they're not in the best physical situation, even emotionally, mentally. Sometimes they have family members who are sick, and often these patients are in such a rut, such a bad place that it's tough for them to really feel any sort of gratitude. But what I try to bring into the picture is to help them understand like, hey, I know things suck right now, but guess what? You still have the power to work hard. You still have the power to think, to do more, to actually get a little stronger, to figure things out. And once I start to implement a little more gratitude, help them realize like, yeah, you're right, I am still strong enough. They start to kind of feel a lot more calm. They're able to get out of their rut that they're stuck in. And this can be applied to you as well, because our world, we move in such a high-paced society. Things are constantly going on. We're constantly thinking about the future, and we tend to forget to realize what we already have. So whenever things go wrong, like maybe you're chatting with your partner, for say, let's use relationships as an example. You're chatting with your partner, and then suddenly you get in an argument. You're like, God, I can't believe I'm with this person. This really sucks. Why are they so selfish and all that? But we tend to forget all the good times. We tend to forget like, hey, I should be thankful that I have a partner where I can actually discuss all these things with, to work together with, and just finding the little things in life can make a huge difference. Huge difference. Because often what happens when we go through, difficult things or stressful situations is that we tell ourselves like, my goodness, things really suck. Things are so bad. I can't believe I'm in this scenario. My life really sucks. But it doesn't suck. It's a perspective thing. But if you really think about it, there are many things in your life that you can be grateful for. And often they're really small things, but it doesn't matter. Just to have a lot more gratitude to the little things in life can make a huge difference for you. Because after all, it comes back to the whole point that you don't have a lot of control for a lot of external things that happen, and things will go wrong. But what you can have is that your appreciation for what you already have. To understand that at this present moment, you should be lucky, you should be thankful that you have control over your situation. You're able to think, to improve, to do what you can do, to problem solve, and all these little things should be something you're thankful about. I'm so grateful that I'm able to, do the things that I can do right now. Sure, things can go wrong all the time. And me working in the healthcare industry, I've went through so many scenarios where I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening. This is the worst day ever. But then I kind of look back, I'm like, hey, I'm lucky I'm in a position where I can help people. I'm lucky in a position that I can continuously grow. And whenever I remind myself of that, it doesn't matter how stressful the situation, I'm able to calm down a lot more and to focus on the task at hand. So I would say that really is the 5th strategy I can pass to you, and I hope this really helps out. I know it's not the easiest thing to practice, having more gratitude, but it's probably the most powerful one that you can implement into your life. So thank you so much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure you go ahead and smash that like button. If you want to hear more content like this, go ahead and check out this video over here where I go over the 5 phases of how you can start overcoming procrastination and becoming more productive in your life. So thank you very much. I will see you again very soon, and until then, take care. Peace.